Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, as well as the South African Banking Risk Information Centre, have signed an MOU aimed at enhancing the fight against financial crimes. The entities will work to strengthen the security and integrity of the South African financial system. Department of Justice and Constitutional Development DG Advocate Doc Mashabane joins us now for more. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time, Advocate Mashabane. It's been described as a historic step against financial crimes and corruption in South Africa. Of course, given the increasing complexity of financial crimes, particularly those in the digital space, how significant is such a move?
Thank you very much, and good evening both to you and to your listeners. I indeed want to confirm that today was a historic day in many ways for us in the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, as we sign a memorandum of understanding with SABRIC to deal with challenges around the banking crimes, financial crimes, corruption, and cybercrime in general. We know that with the advent of, the fourth industrial revolution, there has been a scramble for deployment of technology across different spheres of life, with technologies in the economy, social, cultural, and political lives. And technological advancement has brought many spin-offs, has changed the way we live, has changed the way we relate and the way we do business, even the way governments work across the world. However, that has not come without challenges. There are serious risks, including, the cyber crimes, challenges of cyber security, but also these banking crimes and financial crimes, including corruption. So as part of our efforts really to fight against corruption, cyber crimes, and all other manner of crimes, including banking crimes and financial crimes, we have deemed it necessary to reach out to the private sector, in this case, SABRIC, to sign a memorandum of cooperation, memorandum of collaboration, where we agree to assist one another in terms of exchange of information, but also particularly in our case through our Justice College, assist with capacity building in the state, and particularly for the criminal justice, in order to fight this malfeasance and these serious emerging crimes across the cyberspace.
Yeah. How are you going to ensure that the memorandum of understanding is effective, it leads to concrete action, as opposed to just being a mere formality?
Look, and this is the point we were very clear about, that we're not just signing for the sake of signing. We don't want that MOU to gather dust and be just kept in some cabinet and we think about it after many years. We've agreed that technical teams will work on the different provisions of the MOUs and make sure that there's an action plan. So as you will have seen, the signing was taking place at a recently relaunched and refurbished Justice College, which is part of our, program to turn around the department, but also make a contribution to the public service and generally the criminal justice system. Because as a department, as you know, we sit at the center of the criminal justice system. So the work that has to be done in the fight against crime, but this one specifically, the fight against cybercrime, the college has to deliver programs, capacity building programs. As you know, we are the custodian of the newly enacted and operationalized Cyber Crimes Act, which in itself, on its own, is not going to help us address this challenge of cyber crimes and other related digital crimes, but we require capacity in the criminal justice with the police, the prosecutors, court officials, and the judiciary in general to understand the nature of the crime, because it is indeed a very growing crime, and not only in our country, globally, in our continent and in our sub-regions. So the first major step that we have to undertake through the Justice College is to make sure that we run courses, introductory capacity building courses for the law enforcement agencies and the criminal justice officials in general, but also just for the entire public service as well, including digital forensic investigations. And we have started putting resources in those specific areas.
And it's important that you also make mention of the public, because the public is, of course, themselves at risk of falling victim to cyber crimes. How much, information and capacity is there to equip the public with the know-how and the skills required to have an understanding of cyber crimes, of course, knowing that the impact is detrimental at times?
Look, public awareness and public education will be very critical, and it's part of what we'll be undertaking, because as we realize, as much as all of us welcome, the deployment of technology in different spheres of life, the use of technology and all its benefits and spin-offs, there's this reality that there's not much awareness about the risk associated with that space, the cyberspace, and all the challenges that are there. And we see a lot of crimes moving actually from the physical world to the digital and cyberspace world, even in terms of, the requests that we get from other countries across the world and from our continent. We see more and more challenges of crimes that are being committed digitally. And as you know, cyber crimes knows no borders. A crime can be committed by someone sitting in Asia or in the Americas, and with the victims sitting here in our country or in our continent. So those are some of the things that we'll be focusing on to make sure that our people in this country are capacitated in terms of knowledge and knowing that there's this risk now that they have to minimize, that we are used to dealing with crimes generally in a physical manner, but now we need to know that the gadgets that we carry around, our smartphones, our iPads, they are being used, to commit crimes by criminals.
How effective will this capacity be in enhancing the knowledge of judges, magistrates, and those in the legal profession, more so if they're looking at cases, and also having some level of depth and understanding of how the cyber world works?
Look, I think there will be many ways, but the reality for now, we really have to start with the basics, just basic trainings to understand the space, how it operates. But I think to understand as well the nature of crimes that are being committed in the cyber world, and just that training on the basic elements of these crimes, so that the detectives, from the time these matters are reported, they have the knowledge, the know-how, and at least some understanding. It's going to take time, but we'll have to start somewhere. At some points, we'll get to an advanced level. But for now, I think we'll start at a more basic introductory level and make sure that the entire chain, including the lawyers and the prosecutors and the judicial officers, have an appreciation and at least they have a knowledge of what it entails. That's the first part. But the second part, of course, will require capabilities, to do the investigations. The detectives, the police, will need to be capacitated in terms of resources. Your digital forensic investigations is a specialization, and we've already started doing some work with the French government through the Justice College as well. Last year, the former minister signed a cooperation agreement with the French government, who have already been to the Justice College to assist us, to train, our colleagues in the criminal justice system, just to know where to start, and also the type of gadgets that should be utilized in terms of doing that investigation in the cyber world.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Thank you for your time speaking there to the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development DG, Advocate Doc Mashabane, joining us there to talk a little bit about the historic step that was taken today in the fight against financial crimes and corruption in South Africa.